through 10 tips to Circa date. All right, so the first thing that you have to remember is that you guys really need to be patient with yourselves. Rome was not built in a day, and I know everybody says that phrase, but it took hundreds and almost thousands of years for Rome to become the superpower that it was. It didn't happen overnight. And I know you guys are anxious, and I know that you really want this to happen, and it will. But you need to do it one step at a time. And I was a teacher for a long time. I'm not going to tell you what I taught because I'm kind of tight-lipped about that. I taught a lot of different things. But at any rate, a lot of people think, well, if I don't do this now, I'm losing time. So I need you guys to reframe how you're thinking about this. Think about it instead of if I get one book this week and I just read 2 or 3 pages of that book, at the end of the week, I'm going to have learned a whole lot more than I knew in the beginning of the week. And at the end of 2 weeks after I finished reading this book, I will have learned a whole lot more than I ever knew before. And it only took 2 weeks. So don't think that you have to do it now, but take it down into the little baby steps. Take it down into 2-week or 1-month increments. And we don't have time to read a book in a night, but we have about 15 minutes before we go to sleep, or maybe we have a half an hour while we drink our coffee in the morning. So think about all of these little moments of time that you can steal during the day when you actually can start to contribute to your own education for all of these things that you're telling me that you want to learn. Don't think that you have to do it right now. You don't. So that's step number 1, is just be patient with yourself. It will happen. Just give yourselves the time to do it. And I'm going to read. So actually, if I move this over here, I don't have to look away and look like a goofball. Okay, try not to be overwhelmed. I know that you guys think about, there's like medieval jewelry, and there's Renaissance jewelry, and there's Byzantine jewelry, and there's Victorian jewelry, and there's Georgian jewelry, and arts and crafts jewelry, and Art Nouveau jewelry, and there's all of this jewelry, and you start to feel overwhelmed. And I know how you feel. I felt the same way when I started all of this. So I just picked one thing that I really liked, or one thing that I had to figure out. A lot of you don't know, but I opened a jewelry store, and I didn't have any experience in the jewelry industry at all. And the very first day when I opened my door, I was buying collections from people who would come in and say, hey, my Aunt Franny passed away, and I inherited all of this, Art Deco jewelry, and I don't know anything about it. It's not my style. I want to sell it. And I'd be like, okay, I'll buy it. So a lot of the times I would just get these collections in, and I would have to figure out what it was. Like when I had it, I had to figure out what it was while I was sitting there looking at it, so I could make a reasonable offer and actually buy the pieces, because, if you don't offer people a reasonable amount of money, they're not going to sell it, and then I'm not going to make any money. So, a lot of this stuff I just had to do on the fly. But it is overwhelming, and it can seem overwhelming if you let it. But pick one thing that you like and learn about that one thing. And 2 months from now, pick another thing that you like and learn about that one thing. So try not to be overwhelmed. I know it's easier said than done, but again, just break it down into the baby steps. Pick that one thing that you like and learn about that one thing, and then go on from there. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. All right, read everything. And I don't care if you think that it's unrelated. I pick up weird little facts and weird little pieces of information from books that you would think that are totally irrelevant. I got a book on, oh my gosh, it was something like how to spot art forgeries. And this is like, somebody who during World War II was fabricating Vermeers and selling them to the Nazis. And I picked up all kinds of crazy things from that book, just about how forgers think, how they work. So you never really know where you're going to pick up crazy information that you can apply to your own field and that you can apply to jewelry. So even if you think that it's unrelated, it probably isn't. Everything is related. So I got like crazy and started reading about, the history of plastics one day and learned about gutta percha. So you really don't know where you're going to learn about things that you can apply to this. So read everything. Even if you think that it's unrelated, it probably isn't. So read it anyway. Or listen to a podcast, or read a magazine. So just, read everything. And it will probably come in useful at some point, I guarantee it, because it always has for me. Which is why I'm like a weird walking encyclopedia of knowledge that I can never use, except for the jewelry field. Yay me. All right, stand on the shoulders of giants. That's a very old phrase, but what I mean by that is there are always people who are going to know more than you, and they're going to know more than you about a very specific thing. So ask them questions and take what they teach you and build on that. Stand on their shoulders. I mean, that's how the United States was born. That's how all of the countries that we live in have evolved. That's how science evolves. So all of these wonderful occurrences that happen in the scientific field, somebody takes that and it's a life's work for one person, and then somebody picks it up 50 years later and goes back to that, and then they really start delving more into it. So stand on the shoulders of giants. Take the information that people have learned and have gone before you and use that and apply it to what you want to do. Apply it to Circa dating, because it's very, very easy. There's a ton of information out there. And so take that information, it's readily available, apply it to your life, and then build upon it. Look at experts' websites. So I don't mean me. My website sucks, but there are people out there who are true experts in their fields. Before I had to go do something, I forget what I was doing, but I had to look up something on jade. And there's a gentleman named Eric Hoffman, and he is basically a jade expert. His website is filled with articles that he's written. So I went to his website, and I will be darned if I didn't find exactly what I was looking for on his website in one of his articles. So a lot of these experts have fabulous articles on their websites. Mine these experts' websites. You will get so much information right from their website, you will be floored. Lang's site is great. Lang Antiques is a great site, and Jewelry University is a great site. So that's definitely one of the ones that you can go to when you have questions. I know a lot of people use that one. That's definitely a good resource. Touch everything. So this one is, there is no substitute for that hands-on experience. And I know that when you are first starting out and you live in a weird part of the country and you can't get to shows and you can't get to antique stores or, wherever it is because of wherever you're located in the world, you are looking at books. But what's happening is you're looking at two-dimensional references, and those two-dimensional references are good, but they're not the full story. You really need to touch things. I remember the very first time that I learned about Scottish agate jewelry. And in fact, I wrote a blog about this, a long time ago. But I had always seen it, I'd always liked it, I always thought it was really cool, but I had never actually seen it in person before. So I was working in a store and they had bought an entire collection of it. And it was the first time in my life that I had gotten to touch, pick up, and hold and touch Scottish agate pieces. And I was crazy amazed at how light these things were. I mean, you could like pick them up and look through them and you could see light passing through them because the agate itself was cut very thin. These were very, very light. And so as I've gone through this experience of now having that experience and building upon it, I know that when I pick up a Scottish agate piece and it's really heavy, it's probably made out of base metal and it's probably the costume version of Scottish agate pieces. So that one experience taught me such a tremendous amount just because I could pick it up and feel it and touch it. And a lot of experts will say, you know, this took a lifetime, but I have had the added benefit of being able to go to antique shows. And the way that I have been working antique shows is I will go and let's say that I like Art Deco jewelry. I'm going to go and I'm going to look at all Art Deco jewelry for that whole day. So at the end of the day, I will have touched and felt 100 or more pieces of Art Deco jewelry. So by the end of the day, my knowledge skyrocketed because I could pick up 100 pieces of one specific thing. So do that. Go to antique stores, go to jewelry stores, go to antique shows, find whatever that thing is that you're looking for and just walk around the show and pick up that one thing that you're interested in. Don't get sidetracked, be like totally focused, and by the end of the day, you will be a rock star. I'm not kidding. It happened to me, it happened to everybody else that I know who's done the same thing. So it will happen to you. You just need to do it. All right. Trust your instincts. This is something that I know is easier said than done, but I get DMs from people all day long saying, can you look at pictures of this? I feel like something's off. Okay, well, you feel like something's off. That should tell you something. That's your instinct telling you that this is probably not the right piece for you. So when your instincts tell you something, you need to listen to them. And what happens in the beginning of this process is that I don't really think that there's any such thing as instinct. I mean, I do, but I don't. I feel like there's a more scientific understanding of what instinct actually is. I feel like instinct is actually you accumulating knowledge and it's getting stored in your brain, but you're not consciously pulling that information to the forefront. It's just kind of being stored in your brain. And so when you see something, you think, that's not right. And that's what everybody says in the very beginning of this. I feel like it's not right. I feel like it's not right. It's not right. So that was something that you picked up on. Your subconscious picked up on it because you had learned something somewhere in the past and your subconscious picked up on it. But you're not consciously aware of it. And so I feel like that's really what instinct is. So the more you learn, the more that's going to happen to you. And what's going to happen after you go through this process of continuing to learn about this is that you will be able to put it into words. You will be able to say, yeah, do you see this thing right here? I know that this happened because of this. So you are going to get to that point, but you probably aren't going to get there tonight or tomorrow. It's just going to take a little bit of time. So again, this goes back to just being patient with yourself and trust yourself. If you feel like something's not right, it probably isn't. Trust yourself. And you know, I mean, we all get to the point where we think, oh yeah, something isn't right, but I don't trust myself enough to say it isn't right. And so we ask for validation. And that's totally cool. Talk it over with your friends who do the same thing that you do. I have an entire group of people who all we do is we just, you know, want to learn about antique jewelry. And so we have DMs and we have a Facebook group and we post pictures and we talk about it. And it's very helpful to be able to put it into words after a while. But you can ask people for help. So just Go ask those people that you trust, that you know have good information, and find out from them if you don't trust yourself. You will get to the point where you can trust yourself. And when you get to that point, you need to listen to it. All right. The last thing that I'm going to tell you about Circa dating is don't be afraid to be wrong. It's totally cool. Nobody's going to judge you, because what's happening is everybody else is too afraid to be wrong to say something too. So they're going to be too busy noticing what you said to even notice anything about the fact that you were wrong, because they're too worried about being wrong. So don't even worry about it. I don't care if I'm talking to someone who's an expert in the field and they disagree with something that I said. I've already had this experience numerous times, and I will just literally ask them, oh, okay, well, that's cool. So here's my thought process. Here's how I came to this conclusion. Tell me how you get to your conclusion. And they will. And they're not going to be weird or upset about it. It's just, the whole thing is just an intellectual exercise, and no one really cares if you come up with the wrong answer. It's cool. The other thing that I've learned about all of this is, think about it like this. You've been through way worse in your life than having somebody think that you came to the wrong conclusion. I'm just going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say you have had crazy experiences in your life that are probably far worse than that. So if that's the worst thing that happens in your jewelry journey, that's actually pretty good. So don't even worry about it anymore. It's not an issue. You're not going to be judged. No one's going to laugh, but well, we might laugh behind your back. No, I'm just kidding. We won't. We won't care. No one cares. So it's okay. That's how you learn. So I hope that this gave you a little quick, better understanding of some of the things that are involved in Circa dating.